What up, crew? What's good? Happy New Year! I hope you guys had an amazing New Year. Mine was absolutely chill. I hung out with the family, didn't do anything crazy. We played Monopoly twice the other day, New Year's Eve. We chilled. It was just a really chill. We popped little Welch's sparkling because I want 75 hard, can't drink, child. And it was just nice to just bring it in with the family. And then we woke up and went to church, which was a whole nother experience. And I'm gonna save that check for next week, Who Gonna Check Me Boo, because it was so powerful. And I want to process that because I already had the outline done for this episode, and I was just like, service was so good Sunday that God is moving. God is definitely moving, and I'm super excited about this new year. Definitely walking in with more authority, more power, and more dominion. Okay? But I hope your new year is starting off right and you're listening to this pod, so it must be. Okay? And tomorrow will be our 1-year anniversary of the pod. This time last year, I was getting ready to launch my first 3 episodes for the world to hear. And we are now 56 episodes strong, y'all. Like, we are doing it, crew. Yes. So thank you for locking in and tuning in. And I want to send out a special thank you to the sponsorship that I have for this episode, BetterHelp. They were one of my first big sponsors. And I'm just absolutely grateful. You know, I'm partnered up with them for this special offer for the Crew Book Club podcast. And let me tell y'all something. I don't offer something that I haven't used or tried. I'm going to just tell you straight up like that. And something that will benefit you guys. So with BetterHelp, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/crewlove. That's betterhelp.com/crewlove. And you will not be disappointed if you try. That's all I have to say with therapy. Like, you have to try. A lot of people do it one time and think it's supposed to cure all the stuff that you've been through for your, I don't know how many years you've been alive. But I felt that way. Like, I felt like the first session, like the first time I tried therapy, it was in person. And I feel like the lady really wasn't connecting with me. And I didn't do it for a long time. And then I discovered BetterHelp. And I've probably gone through 3 therapists. But I love the convenience of it all. Not having to drive around. The search was easy. And it was just absolutely amazing. And I highly recommend it. So click the link. Start your year off refresh in a way of renewing your mind. Okay? And doing that through therapy to help you process all your trauma so you can become more self-aware. Therapy will show you the way. I'm not kidding. God in therapy, child, I'm trying to tell you. So click the link in the show notes for betterhelp.com/crewlove. Get your 10%, child. All right? We need a deal. Okay? All right, so let's just hop into this episode. What up, crew? What's good? How you feeling? If you're feeling good, feeling great, hey, keep that same energy. And if you like, child, the year already starting off a hot mess, listen to this podcast. Podcast is going to put you in focus. Just focus for these next 30-something minutes. I need you to focus on the pod and you so we can direct ourselves into the path to make us great. All right? Okay, so we're getting into the new book. And a little hint. This one thing has got me tripping. This one thing I want to admit it, you did. Yes, the book. The One Thing by Gary Keller. The surprisingly simple truth behind extraordinary results. This year is going to be a year of extraordinary results. For me. I don't know about you. But I know for me, we're going to be seeing results. Okay? You feel me? All right. So we're going to get into that today. We're going to get into chapter 1 and chapter 2. But before we hop into the book, let's go on and hop into this first segment of the show. Who gonna check me, boo? God is, and He is always checking us because we deserve a what? A good check. You know, ooh, God kept me definitely in check in 2022. And I hope Him to continue to always keep me in check, girl. Because your girl be needing it. Because if God didn't check me, y'all be in a whole different Sade. I'm trying to tell you. And so I'm going to be diving into this book that was actually given, this devotional that was actually given me in 2019 as a birthday gift. And it's Whispers of Hope. And the author who did the devotions were Stephan Joubert. And the first one starts off January 1st. It's for 365 days. And the first one was New Year's resolutions. And the scripture was Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. Okay? It says, once again, New Year's resolutions are being made everywhere. I also have a couple of resolutions for the year that lies ahead, like making more time for silence in my life. God doesn't compete with all the noise within, I'm pointing to myself, and around me. I realize that I have to hear Him on His terms, not mine, in the new year. Okay? This time is really focused on God's, and I like how Dustin says it in Holding Court. He says terms and conditions. I want to be on God's terms and conditions. Okay? You hear me? I absolutely need to know God better. Like, I know God, but I want to know Him at another level, because a relationship with Christ it's an evolution. Like, you're always building that relationship. It's always evolving into something better and something more. And he had a few checks in here that he wrote, like not responding to nasty emails and texts, leaving that negative energy as wasted energy over there. And also not engaging with road ragers. Them people who fighting to be 2 minutes ahead. Y'all ever be riding in a car and somebody be forcing their way through traffic, speeding, and y'all end up at the same red light? I be cracking up laughing when that happens. I be wanting to look over and be like, now you done did all of that to get to the same spot that I'm at, okay? But the one that I wanted to focus on was, I want to live this new year in front of me at today's speed. One day at a time for the full 365. This year, for me, I want to focus on today more, because I could get so far ahead in the future sometimes that I don't appreciate and enjoy the today moments. So I really like that resolution for myself. If I'm going to have any resolutions, that is what I would want it to be, God focused. And knowing that there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. So that was a good start. So who gonna check me, boo? God is for the first of the year. Hey. Okay. I want to also thank you guys for all the crew love and the continuance of the support. Like, it's absolutely appreciated and adored. Like, I absolutely adore you guys. And so now we're going to get into the rest of the book, and not the rest of the book. We're going to get into our new book, and it is This One Thing Has Got Me Tripping. This one thing I want to admit it, you dig. It is the new book, The One Thing. Yes, it's The Surprisingly Simple Truth Behind Extraordinary Results by Gary Keller. Man, this year is going to be a year of extraordinary results, and I am super excited about that. And you can also listen to this book on Audible. And they also offer theatrical performances, wellness programs, and thank God we are partnering with them, so you can get 30 days free of that. What great way to start the new year off with something free and fun. They also have comedy, which I want to really check out, because Y'all remember those comedy CDs that people used to come out with back in the day, like Ricky Smiling? I wanted the comedy is like that. I'm gonna check that out and then let y'all know about that. But definitely hit the link to get your free 30-day experience with Audible if you haven't tried it. Thank them for that. And now let's get into chapter 1 of this book, The One Thing. Yes, let's get into the one thing. All right, on page 7, he starts off saying, not starts off, but in the middle of the page. So, I be trying to narrate it so I can give y'all the key points that really hit and touch me. It says, the one thing is the best approach to getting what you want, okay? Now, he said, I experienced success in the past, but it wasn't until I hit a wall that I began to connect my results with my approach. I'm getting to that point, right? For all the dedication and hard work, my life was in turmoil and it felt as if everything was crumbling around me. I was failing. Something had to give. And this is the perspective of Gary Keller, like the builder, the originator of Keller Williams, okay? And I know you're like, well, I'm not in real estate. This is a real estate book. No. This is a book that you can apply to your life, okay? To your everyday growing your business life, okay? He says he met with a coach and he was trying to revisit his goals and trajectory in the life that he wanted. And the coach said he had identified 14 positions that needed new faces. He believed that with the right individuals in those key spots, the company, my job, and my life would see a radical change for the better. He said Jesus had 12, but you'll need 14. So Gary Keller stepped down as CEO and finding those 14 people my singular focus. Within 3 years, y'all, he began a period of sustained growth that averaged 40% year over year for almost a decade. Ooh, who would love to see that type of growth in their business? And even if it's not in your business, in your life, you know what I'm saying? And then he goes to say, after he dropped down from that, he decided to focus on his top people in his company to help build their careers and businesses. All right. And he was like, unfortunately, many would get most of them done, but not necessarily what mattered most. Results suffered, frustrations followed. So in an effort to help them succeed, he started shortening his list. He went from 3 things to 2 things to, out of desperation, 1 thing. And he asked them, and I'm going to ask you guys the same question. What's the one thing you can do this week that by doing it, everything else would be easier or unnecessary? And you know what happened after they started focusing on the one thing? They started seeing awesome results. They went through the roof, okay? Where I had huge success, I had narrowed my concentrations to one thing. And where my success varied, my focus had to. Oh, that was good. So we talk about doing the little things that will lead up to the big things. And he seconds that in this book as well. Going small. Why do some people seem to get so much more done than others? How do they do more, achieve more, and earn more, and have more? One, they're being strategic and focusing on the right thing. That's just before I even continue to read on. That's the first thing that comes to mind is being strategic and intentional with your time and what you're doing. And this, he says, they go small, okay? He also says, going small, quote unquote, is ignoring all the things you could do and doing what you should do. I don't know how many of y'all understood that took the mastermind, the should do, could do list. That's the one I mostly use to prioritize. I could do this. It ain't nothing that's generating the bag, but I should do this because this will help generate the income, okay? To be able to do the could do's, right? So it recognizing that not all things matter equally and finding the things that matter most. It's realizing that extraordinary results are directly determined by how narrow you can make your focus. I love that. I love that. So you gotta really hone in on the small things. And it's like 2 things for the person who had success to get to the next level, to hire the 14 people. Think about building your disciples to help your business elevate. For me, I know it's getting a virtual assistant. That's my first step. So I'm thinking, what money and salary would that take for me to generate more time and freedom to do the things that's going to take my business to the next level? Because there's some things that I want to do for you guys, right? But I need help, okay? And then building my team. And for the person who doesn't have the money yet and to build the team, let's focus on the one thing to get the results you need to get to the next level. Because you're probably like, well, I don't know what I want to do. Okay, so let's figure out what you want to do so we can build around that one thing and start little small things to get you where you're trying to go. Okay? Now, let's get into chapter 2. The domino effect. And when you guys think about dominoes, you think about putting all the pieces together, then you hit that one little domino and they all start trickling down, right? So that's similar to what we're going to talk about in chapter 2, the domino effect. And the domino effect is not only can one knock over others, but also others that are successfully larger. In 2001, a psychiatrist from San Francisco Exploratorium reproduced Whitehead's experiment by creating 8 dominoes out of plywood, each of which was 50% larger than the one before. The first was a mere 2 inches, the last almost 3 feet tall. The resulting domino fall began with a gentle tick and quickly ended with a loud slam. Visually, in the book, they have a picture of what that looks like. If you go on the YouTube channel, you can see it. And if you have the book, it's on page 13. So they start off with smaller dominoes and then made big ones up to 3 feet. And that's similar to what we're talking about with building up your goals. They start off with these small little things and they start trickling together until you got a big old bam. Okay? It's like tick, tick, boom. Yeah. It makes me think of when artists blow up and the people be like, oh, they came out of nowhere. But you wasn't there when they was in the studio or practicing in their room and wasn't on the main stage or performing at little clubs with holes in the walls with 3 people in the audience. We forget about those things, but those little things led up to the big boom that you see successful people get to. Nothing happens just overnight. Trust me. People be putting work in the gym. You just ain't there to see it. Okay? All right? And if we go to page 16, he discusses it even further. Getting extraordinary results is all about creating a domino effect in your life. The challenge is that life doesn't line everything up for us and say, here's where you should start. Highly successful people know this. So every day they line up their priorities anew. Find the lead domino and whack away until it falls. You know, why does this approach work? Because extraordinary success is sequential, not simultaneously. Am I saying it? Y'all don't come for me. Sequential. I hate when I mess up words on here. I practice these words, y'all. I promise y'all. Okay? Not simultaneously. Okay? What starts out linear becomes geometric. You do the right thing and then you do the next right thing. Over time, it adds up and the geometric potential of success is unleashed. When you see someone who has a knowledge, they learn it over time. When you see someone who has a lot of skills, they develop them over time. When you see someone who does a lot, they accomplish it over time. When you see someone who has a lot of money, they earned it over time. I mean, unless you hit the lotto, but a lot of them lose it just as quick as they get it. Anyway, the key is over time. Success is built sequentially. It's one thing at a time. Y'all, Elon Musk wasn't born and then there was Tesla. Okay? Oprah wasn't born and then there was Oprah that we know. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these things are taking time. And I can't think of the quote, but there's no shortcut to get to success. The only shortcut is the work. You got to do the work, y'all. Yeah, we keep forgetting the process, and you want to skip over everything else to get to the success, but you don't want to do the work. And a lot of people who get success too quickly, it's gone because they didn't necessarily earn it or understand the appreciation of the process and the work. So then when something fails and doesn't go their way, they quit. Okay? I feel like the process builds your character. The failure builds your character. And doing the small things builds your character. Like, think about the leader who starts from the bottom and work their way up. I feel like those are the better CEOs of the company because they know what it is to be at the bottom and all the hard work. If someone comes in and hasn't done the work and they just inherit everything, they're not going to understand what the people at the bottom is going through. You know what I'm saying? If that makes perfectly sense. So appreciate the small steps and the failures, because that's going to help build your character for your success. All right. So I love the way they put the domino effect. You know, look at it as a way it takes time to build a domino. Like, even when you're putting up a trail of dominoes, you got to put one domino at a time, right? And then once you hit that, it tick, 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 and it all lines up and falls together. So think of your career, your entrepreneurial, your family. Think of those things as your domino. You're setting up the pieces, you're being strategic and taking the time to do it, so then it can all come to this beautiful piece of work. All right. So that's chapter 1 and 2 of The One Thing. And I can't wait to even deep dive more into this book. You guys are going to absolutely adore this. And I want to shout out to the people who attended the mastermind. And I can't wait to see you guys April 1st, because we'll be applying some of the concepts from this book to already the 12-week year. So if you're applying the 12-week year concept, take the one thing and then break those down weekly as we discuss at the mastermind. If you're interested in the mastermind booklet, please shoot me an email at thecrewbookclub@gmail.com. I am working on getting it on the website so you can buy it. But if you're like, Shadi, I need it right now, just email me at thecrewbookclub@gmail.com and say mastermind booklet, please, or DM me and ask for the mastermind booklet, and I'll try to get you a private link so you can purchase it and I'll ship it to you. Okay? All right. Woo, that was so good. Let's get into the challenge of the week. The challenge of the week is, what is your one thing? Let's figure out your one thing. If you don't have your one thing, let's figure out what your one thing is. And I want you to be specific so you can build your domino effect, okay? For example, I have 2 businesses, the book club, the Crew Book Club, and I have real estate. I know I have at least one thing for each of them that I need to do each week to get closer to my goals. You know, once you know your one thing, you can make a plan, okay? So this week, I want you to focus on what is your one thing, okay? Don't let society tell you what your one thing is. If you're confused about your one thing, lock in with God so He can communicate to you on His terms and conditions what your one thing is. Because I realize when He tells me what my one thing is, then I'm able to really break it down, and I'm able to partner with Him to give me a plan on what to do. I remember my pastor saying today at church, he says, you know, we're always asking for God to do something for us, but a lot of times God is waiting for us. He done gave us the car. He done gave us the key to the ar. We sitting in it and asking Him to take us somewhere, but we got to take the key, put it in ignition and crank it, and put the gas, put a pedal to the metal. You get what I'm saying? So this week, focus on your one thing, lock in with yourself to find out what that is, and take your time. Don't rush yourself. This is going to exceed extraordinary results, and we want to make sure we're doing those right things. Okay? All right. Woo, let's get into what would the crew do, boo? What would the crew do? Ask advice. If you want advice from your girl, Sade, you know, you can email thecrewbookclub@gmail.com, or you can DM at the Crew Book Club on Instagram, and you can say, I need some advices. All right. This advice was actually emailed to me. Holla, thank you so much. I haven't had an email ask advice in a minute. They mostly come through random DMs. But anyway, it says, I'm not sure if I can ask for relationship advice. Yes, you can. You can ask any advice, y'all. This is for anything, okay? It says, in your trailer episode, you mentioned being married for 12 years, so I figured you would be a great person to ask. I've been married for 4 years. I don't feel like myself. I feel like I got married too soon because I don't know what I want to do with my life just yet. I work a job I really don't like and I want to quit, but my husband depends on my income to make ends meet. I could do other things without his consideration if I wasn't married. I make decent money, but I'm unhappy with my job and it affects our marriage. Any advice on how to fix it? And she says, P.S. We have no kids. Oh, I feel like you did that we have no kids things for me to try to be, for me to say, oh girl, it's easy to leave because you ain't have no kids. I ain't gonna say that. Being married for 12 years, now 13. I need to re-record that trailer. It's surprisingly, I lost myself in my marriage, and I was doing, I struggle with people pleasing. And maybe you're a person who struggles with people pleasing. And maybe the job that you have is really not the job that you want, but because it yields a lot of money and people are applauding you for the success of it, that it makes it hard to leave. And the fact that your husband is depending on you, it makes it hard to leave because you're attached to the bag. A lot of people live that way. I mean, heck, I've lived that way. I've done jobs I really didn't care for, or didn't take a job because it didn't yield a certain amount of money, or only asked about the money and not actually cared about the job. And then it came, and look at me, I'm doing 100% commission-based jobs, 100% all on me jobs now. But I can tell you this much, I found much joy in that because I'm doing the things that I love to do and I'm not attached to the bag. Now, I understand the unhappiness with the job is affecting your marriage because you haven't found you and peace within. So then it becomes this outer thing, and it maybe you making it seem like it's his fault. I don't know what, and it could be in a form of resentment. And I want to ask you this: have you communicated with him how you feel about it? I know for me, for so long in my marriage, I was timid or scared to say things to him because I was in fear of scaring him off and or making it tense and trying to avoid conflict. But in actuality, it just caused more conflict in my inner self. So my suggestion would be, first, communicate to him how you're feeling, because as your spouse, the person that you marry, you should be able to do that. And then also, I don't know if you're in therapy or not, but that is another key factor of understanding and becoming more self-aware of why you may feel this way. Because I feel like we all have childhood trauma connected to how we handle ourselves in relationships. So that's another thing. So communicate. Definitely highly recommend some therapy for you and him together and separate. And you might have to do these things on your own first for him to kind of come along with it. Because once I found out what was wrong with me internally, and I stopped associating it with my marriage, and I separated myself from that, I was able to communicate better with him and myself of what I needed. And I didn't find happiness within my marriage. I found it within me, which made me more happy, if that makes sense. So definitely communicate. Check out some therapy. As I said earlier in the episode, you can go to betterhelp.com/crewlove and get some 10% off your first month of therapy to handle that. And when it comes to the money and your job, have an exit plan, baby. Find out what you want to do first and do that while working this job. And then have an exit plan to get out. And honestly, you might go to therapy and communicate with him about everything. And you might find more light in your job from that perspective once you start working on self and you start to appreciate where you're at and not always trying to find the problem. You get what I'm saying? But just hold on. Marriage is a constant work. And a lot of times we try to find issues within our spouse instead of finding the issue within us and dealing with it first. And the first thing we want to do is leave. Trust me, I've been there. So do the work first before you make a drastic decision about leaving your husband. Because obviously you married him for a reason. It had to be good at some point. I'm hoping. All right. And if you don't have a relationship with Christ, I highly recommend a relationship with God. And that's just my thoughts on that. Hopefully that will help you in some sense. And I would love to hear a follow-up on how this goes. Like, definitely let me know. And the fourth year, you know, some people are in marital bliss and some people are like, what the heck did I do? And I'm not going to say that never goes away. It's like a constant working through. It's constant work. Okay. But try to go back, write down, and focus on where you guys started and how do you think you got there. But definitely do all the work you can before resulting in a divorce. Okay. All right, so that was What Would the Crew Do? Ask some advice. You guys are welcome to ask any type of advice. I am practically an open book, and I definitely do my best to give you some clear advice. Okay? All right, so, it's just something that just came to me. In your situation, focus on one thing at a time, too. Focus on one thing at a time. Focus on self, the job, and the marriage, and try to separate the two. Separate it in a sense to compartmentalize it and really break it down. Okay? Try that. All right. So this was such a good episode. Before we end the episode, you know I got to give you the quote of the week, baby. Okay? The quote of the week comes from our book, page 6. Beginning of each chapter, there's a quote that is given to us by another person. And this quote comes from Josh Billings. The quote says, "Be like a postage stamp. Stick to one thing until you get there." All right? Go out into the world, crew, and stop giving up before you accomplish your goals, okay? Someone is waiting on you. It's 2023, baby. You better recognize your power. All right, thanks for tuning in with the Crew Book Club podcast. I will see you all right here next week. Hey!